And Mr. Glikman, we are live. Hello and welcome to all the viewers to another episode of China Time, a very special edition, a very special episode. Ziv, how are you tonight?
I'm very good. I've been
Mhm.
waiting for this episode that we had to postpone last week, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's feels great to talk about a full year of course, China, our podcast. Can't believe it's been a year,
Yeah.
right?
Basically, we have a very cool show for you guys. We have prepared, well, some things that we want to talk about, but also we want to show you a lot of behind the scenes, and we also want to show you some of the things that we remember from all the shows that we've put together. Because I looked and there's almost 50 something episodes. Do you know the number?
Yeah, no, we don't have 50. We have like 33 episode out, but we have probably 100 videos because
Hmm.
sometimes we have sent clips, right?
Yeah. So we're going to talk about all those processes and all the different things that all the changes that we've made and all the decisions that we made along the way, because it's interesting to talk about those things and review the things that we have done.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, if
why don't we
if
start with?
yeah, I just wanted to say if anyone's watching that kind of stumbled upon this live stream and doesn't know what we're talking about, that Fernando and we've been doing a podcast from China called, of course, China. We started it last year in March or maybe April. The first episode came out, and yeah, and this show is to talk about the 1 year anniversary. Recently, we reached 1,000 subscribers. So, Fernando, let's start. What is our the first thing we wanted to talk about?
Okay, the first thing on the list of things to talk about is how we know each other, because we know each other for a very long time, don't we?
Right, we know each other for probably about 15 years. I would
I don't know.
say.
I got here before you, so whenever you got to China,
Right, right. You got to Dongguan what 2001, right? To Dongguan.
2000, yeah, end of 2000. Mm-hmm.
Right, and I came here in 2003, and I believe that we've met after I started the Here magazine, right?
We started, yeah, we met each other through the magazine. I mean, I read your magazine, and I don't remember exactly how we got to talk about working together.
Right. I mean, I don't remember exactly, but 2005 the magazine has started, and I believe that I mean you did back then you did write some articles for us. We started talking about you writing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first round of you writing for us, because then I think there was
I
a few
joined
years.
in two parts. I remember I used to write for the magazine a couple of articles, and I used to advertise in the magazine as well.
Right,
I remember one of the
right,
things that I advertised was a summer camp in Australia that actually was pretty good. Um,
right.
so yeah,
Right.
we go a very long way.
So 2005, I think, or 2006, and then you already had the English Center, right? Yeah,
Yes, I started the center in 2005. Yeah,
right. And that's how we got to know each other. And then I mean, there were you wrote, I guess, on and off for the magazine,
yeah. Mhm.
and what else do you remember years later?
Um, well, basically, we basically stopped working together. And I do remember when I started my YouTube channel, um, you kind of like picked up on what I was doing, talking about teaching, and you approached me with the idea of making a oh, sorry, not a TV series, like a series for the magazine.
Right.
That was called Teacher Talks,
And that's
right?
like 3 years ago.
Yeah, about 3 years ago, and we initially we made 6 videos, and the year afterwards, oh no, like 6 months later, another season later, we made another 6 videos, And for a very long time, the video about suggestions from suggestions for summer camps was one of the most viewed videos in my channel.
Oh,
I was
really?
so proud of that one. Yeah, 10,000 views at that time was a lot.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I don't get it now yet on
Hey,
my channel. Yeah,
congratulations. Guys, for those of you who don't know, Ziv just reached 200 subscribers on his channel. So
right.
he's an up and comer.
Yeah, yes, I just started my channel in beginning of January, so
Mm,
not very long, 2 3 months. And yeah, my YouTube channel Ziv Glikman. So if you watch us wherever you watch us, make sure to go check my videos. I have some nice ones coming up. But anyway, let's
yeah.
go back to the subject. So we
Hmm.
met each other. We met each other. So we knew each other for a very long time. Some years we were closer, some years less, right?
Mm,
And and then and then we wanted to talk about how we came to this idea, right? To this podcast.
yeah. It was very interesting because it was the middle of the pandemic. We were doing nothing, and we were all like, "What do we do? What do we do?" And I've always liked the fact that you are very different from me in many ways that we think, in many things that we do, and also in the way that we behave. I am not a people person. You are the exact opposite. So you have a lot of relationships. And in the back of my head, I was like, Zib would be the great co-host because I got the technical knowledge. And I mean, I
I,
can
I
talk, but it's not my forte.
I think no, I think actually I was thinking about it yesterday. It's I think it's definitely one of the best thing we have is that we are very different.
Mm,
Not just off the show, on the show too. Our opinions don't always match. We have our little you know not really arguments, right? But like, I like to tell you what I think about your videos sometimes.
yeah.
And and yeah, I mean, not just the technical. Okay, so yeah, we thought how it happened, right? So I think we talked on WeChat probably in
Look, basically,
March.
we were in the car. I don't know. We were doing something
No,
else,
so
and we were in the car.
we were talking on WeChat, and then I said, "How about you come by? Let's have a drive." You also told me about the new car, so I said,
Oh
"Let's
yeah,
have a drive," right?
yeah.
And then we were in the car, yeah, in your car, talking about this possible podcast.
The idea of doing something, and I think that that kind of like leads to the next point that we wanted to talk about. I mean, what did we actually want to do with the podcast, right? Like, what did we
Right,
want to achieve, which is the next point that we have here.
right. So I would like to say first, okay, that when I always thought about a podcast, because I listened to podcasts for many years, okay,
Mhm.
whether it's obviously Joe Rogan, and some other ones that I've been listening to probably 6 7 years, and when I always thought about doing a podcast, I never thought it would be a video podcast, right? So
Yeah,
so I think that's one of the things that you kind of, I think for you it's almost the opposite. You thought about video right away, right?
yeah, because that's my medium. That's where I was.
Right. So I thought that I thought in the beginning, if you remember, so we were talking about doing it, and in my mind, a podcast is like an hour and a half. Again, probably I'm thinking Joe Rogan, right?
Mm.
And you have the equipment, not just the video, right? The audio as well, or you were happy to get more equipment because you like those kind of toys. and and then I was thinking first, honestly, I was thinking, yeah, this is just two of the what 15 that you have. So I was thinking, honestly, I was thinking, I think you remember, who the hell is going to watch us talk for an hour and a half,
Yeah.
right? And actually, a good side note: the podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, and
Spotted.
everything. But I can tell you from the analytics, because I deal with that side, right?
Mm.
We actually never talk about that side, right, Fernando?
That's up
um,
to you.
no, I mean, we don't have too many. We have a few dozens every episode,
Hmm.
which is definitely not even close to the views we get on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that well, perhaps we're gonna get to that point a little bit later, and we're gonna show some of the stuff that we want to show. But taking the show outside was something that changed the direction of the channel. But why don't we talk a little bit about how we started? Where
Right.
did we start?
So
Let me show you some pictures too. You tell the
yeah,
story.
yeah. Show us the picture. Which picture are you gonna show us? Yeah. So okay. So we wanted to start. We were thinking about, okay. Fernando right away was thinking how many cameras, what microphones we're gonna use, right, Fernando? Um,
Yeah.
and um, and we were thinking of where. So what you see here, I think that's pretty much the first setup. Maybe the first time we shot
Yeah.
um, the podcast. This is at my bar, me and Billy's, Big Water. It's right under my office. I'm sitting in my office right now, and the first floor under here is this place. And Fernando set up this black curtain, the backdrop, and decided the three tables, how we gonna set it up. You got your mixer there, Fernando, I can
Hmm.
see. And we thought, okay, this is a nice cool setup. The black background gonna look really nice, and it did look nice, right? But
Yeah.
you remember me telling you right away, I think, like, it's really nice and professional and clean, but it's a bit boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but it was kind of easy, yes and no, right? Because this is when we recorded our intro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta remember one thing is that we were in the middle of COVID.
Right.
It's not like we could go out there and just meet people, and you know what I mean. It wasn't that simple. So
i
it made a lot of sense to limit things to where we were and do the work that we could there.
I think we didn't even
I
think
guess.
about going outside. I think it made sense for us to do it in a studio.
Yeah, like the logistics and the technology behind taking the show outside is a big thing.
Right.
Um, and yeah, it we basically said, look, we're stuck here. Let's shoot as many shows as we can while we are closed down. Because when I get back to work, I don't know what's gonna happen. Do you remember how many shows we shot?
Yeah, because you didn't have work, right? Your center was closed.
Yeah, I think we
Right,
shot
because of
12.
COVID.
We shot 12 shots.
Did we shoot 12 before we released? Really?
Yes, sir. We shot 12 shots. And the interesting thing about those was that just a technical side. If you could, let me show you the picture and then I explain to you. We had basically four cameras, right? So there's one on me, one on Ziv, one on the guest, and one capturing the three of us. And on top of that, we had an audio track. So to edit that was incredibly time consuming, was just the worst thing on earth. You had to, I laid out the four video tracks, and whenever somebody talked, I had to cut and then uh, just basically blacked out the other ones. And then when somebody else talked, make another cut and blacked out the other ones out. It was an extremely uh, time consuming process. It took about 12 hours per episode. So I was very happy when we finished those 12 episodes
Right, right.
because I was like, okay, now we can take a break because that meant that we had like 3 months worth of material ahead of us.
Yeah, my sister Karmit, she just wrote a vodcast. Right, it's a vodcast. Hey Karmit. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's we wanted to shoot as many as we can, so we are not so pressured once it's out, right? I think this is the time when we shot March last
Mm-hmm.
year, right?
Yeah.
And then I believe the first actual episode we released in April.
Was this one
This one, right, right.
Rachel R. Xing Xing?
This is actually a thumbnail of one of the clips.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's this one, Rachel Romeswinkel. This is the first we released, not necessarily the first we shot, right?
I think she was the first I don't
No, I
remember
don't
who
think
was the
so.
first we shot actually.
Okay, now
To
let me
be
tell
honest
you,
with you.
this is because we wanted someone strong to be the first, which looking
Mm.
back, I'm not
To
sure. Looking back, I'm not sure
carry
that's the best
to
thing.
carry us to the end of the clip.
Because we're going to talk later about specific shows, but just to say that um, she's super interesting, and I think that was a great show, but because it's stacked way back, I don't think it has an appropriate
Hello.
viewership. Hello, hello.
Okay, guys, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I have lost
Hey,
Ziv, and I think that my connection is having a bit of
hello,
trouble.
can you hear me?
I can't to get rid of
Hello,
anything
hello,
right now. We were having a good connection.
hello. Hey,
Hey, sorry.
hello.
Internet issues as always. Okay, somebody's
Okay,
confirming
can
that
you
they
hear
can
me?
hear us.
Just
Yeah,
wanted
I
to
can
say
hear
that
you.
someone is asking China's first anniversary. No, that's not what we mean. Again, if you just joined this broadcast, this is about our podcast. Of course, China's 1 year in the making. Okay, so
All
we were
right,
talking about this Rachel.
Rachel.
I was just saying it's a great episode and it's tucked way in the back of our channel. So I think that hopefully more people will go back and check our first videos because there's some good material there.
Yeah, I mean, that this particular story about her growing up in China is fantastic. Also, the fact that she's a KOL in China, she's a big star in China, millions of followers, both in Weibo and Bilibili, and I think she doesn't do TikTok, but she's a
Right.
huge star in China, and well, she's a close friend of ours because we saw her grow up, right?
Yeah, we know her since she was small, right? So anyway,
I
okay,
know.
let's talk about the what we wanted to achieve, right? We were
Yeah,
trying
sure.
to ask this question. So I think that for me, um, this podcast, of course, China is about showing, which is a lot of other things that I do, honestly, but this one is about showing people from outside of China what the hell all these foreigners are doing in China and showing a variety of perspectives, opinions, not just the same few people that you may be able to watch on YouTube consistently, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but a bigger variety of people. Some of them, I mean, a lot of them doing some interesting business, but we also talk about how their life is in here. So showing people from outside what foreigners are doing in China and what kind of opportunities and what do they need to know about living in China. What about you?
I always like to sell the show as trying to showcase extraordinary, ordinary people. They're just regular people, but they're doing something that's that's unique, that's a little bit different, that's like our second show, I'll show you right here very quick, was Rome, remember?
Yeah,
um,
Jerome.
a guy, who's doing comedy in China, stand-up comedy.
Right.
That's well, it's a very unique perspective on things that people do here in China. So that episode was quite interesting because, well, he describes himself as being how does he describe himself?
What open mic? What are you being what?
No, he said he's not black and he's not white, or he's black to white people, but he's white to black people, something like that.
I well,
He
he's
said it
he's
in
mixed. Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah.
that was an interesting point of discussion of that episode. I really, really like that.
That episode had an interesting moment. Remember when we say when you say
Oh
when we
yes,
talked about Heren, like how
yeah.
Chinese people say Heren about black people, and you don't like it, and then we said, hey, but we say black people all the time, and I think you had a moment there.
That's one of the things that I like about the shows that we do, is because sometimes we come to some like realization, like, huh? I didn't know this. The point of that show was that I said that Chinese people usually refer to foreigners as Waigoran, like foreigners, but they refer to black people as Heiran. And we were like, why is that? And then we figure out that in English is the same. Um, Basically black people and foreigners or Asians. So we realized that we were actually wrong. Oh, I was
Right,
actually wrong, basically. Yeah, but
right.
that was an
Yeah, that,
interesting moment. You can see our faces going like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. We can. Yes.
that was
So,
cool.
okay. So this is what we kind of wanted to achieve. I think showing people outside. Actually, one thing to say here is that it's interesting how a lot of the audience are actually, I think, Chinese people. Uh, Maybe many of them live abroad. Don't live in China, right, Fernando?
Yeah, a lot of people that I interact with are Chinese, I think.
Right. So, I mean, I guess it's interesting for them to see these foreigners in China, what we think, what foreigners in
Mhm.
China think about China. But I want to say that we do want more and more Westerners in their countries to understand China better through the episodes.
You have a very constant question that you ask our guests, our foreign guests, is like, um, what would you say to somebody who wants to come to China? You always ask them this. What do you say to somebody who wants to, uh, who's thinking about coming to China? What kind of advice would you give them? Um,
Right.
and I think that that resonates with a lot of people outside. Like, hmm, I have an opportunity to learn and hear from somebody who's done what I want to do, because we interview people from different fields.
Right.
So that's
Very
that's
different.
that's
Yeah.
a huge um, sell point of our show. People get to
Exactly.
see people who do different things and how they do it, and how they went about it. So it's a good point for people to, well, to start the journey into China.
Right. All right. So let's move to what makes us unique. Right. That's what we wanted to talk about
Hmm.
next. What
Yep.
makes us unique? So, okay, I think first of all, it's. I mean, I think that to do a vodcast, like my sister said here, a vodcast, right? Um, that is that is in China now, outside every time in a different place, right? Um, where we interview, like you said, what? How did you say it? Extraordinary,
Extraordinary,
ordinary people
ordinary people.
in China, in person, in person,
Yes. I think
right?
that that's a very important thing, because during COVID, during the lockdown, um, there was a big push for people to do online interviews. And you and I had this internal discussion, and we were saying, like, no, I don't want to do this. I
Yeah,
don't want to do online. I want to go outside and set up and show people living life in China. I mean, when we go to a coffee shop, there's people in the background just buying coffee, and you hear the noise and you hear the life of China behind us, no matter where we are. Sometimes it's an office, sometimes it's a factory, but you get to see what China really looks like, not just in a studio or three people
but
on
also,
computers.
but yeah, and we started doing this a couple of months, after we started, right? But also meeting someone in person is different than talking to him through a screen. um
Hmm.
you meet, you touch, you laugh. It's different. You can get different, how should I say, you can get more people, open up more, you know um you can connect on a different level, and I think also the audience can see that.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that yeah, we get requests. I think over the past year, got a few requests from very interesting people that say they would like to go on the show, but they're not in a position to do it in person.
Hmm.
So maybe we start considering these people to have them on these China time live streams.
Yeah, this is the alternative to those people, Chinatime. And of course, right now we are streaming to my personal channel for FerMuBe. We're streaming to your personal channel, and we're streaming to, of course, China, and also our Facebook pages as well. So we're streaming all over the place. So if somebody wants to do interviews and talk about what they do here in China, this is the channel to do it. I mean, when I say the channel, I should say the show, Chinatime
Right.
Live. Of course, China will always be in person, and I'm very excited to take the trip on the road one day. We've taken trips. We've been to different cities.
We've taken
Um,
trips. Maybe we talk about it soon, right? When we talk about some episodes, but definitely
let me.
we've taken trips.
The next episode is this one. The next episode is this one.
Oh, the next episode. You mean that was the? What do you mean the
The
next?
next one. The next one. The following that we published. This is episode number 3,
This was
and this
number
was
3.
this was one that jumped the rope. Remember, jumped the queue. Sorry, we had a queue of people, and then we said this is very timely because John. Let me remove this 1 second because you can't see it very clearly. Um, John had a pretty important legal case, and his case was going to be resolved that week. So we went to Shenzhen and we shot the show. It's the first time that we went outside. And let me show you this. This is a very cool picture, I think. This was the
Yes.
setup.
Yeah. So for this one, we were going to Shenzhen. We were going to John's office slash gym, and I think we thought about it. Right, we have to shoot it inside the ring.
Yes.
And he loved it. He loved the idea. He's like, yeah. And I think that after that day,
He's
he
doing his podcast in the ring.
yeah, he does this the same. So I think that yeah, it was really interesting. I think you took a while to set up that day, huh? It was not easy.
Oh my god, because we brought different lights, and I didn't know what I was going to be faced with. Let me give you a look. Let me show you what this looked like, okay?
All right, so this one's live.
This one's live.
Yeah,
Hey guys, there's no one there yet, probably.
no one's there yet.
Interviewing John.
Yeah, it's interesting how like Instagram Live works. So you kind of launch something and then
That was a short clip
That's
that we
another
took.
that's another thing that you can see there. That's something that usually happens, right? Like you running around organizing and setting up everything while I talk to the to them. They're like, what can I help with, Fernando?
It's very funny because I'm setting up stuff, I'm setting up things, and I'm just listening to what you're talking. And this is my how I update and catch up on what the interview is about. Because most of the times, as I said, You are the relationship person. You're the one who knows most people,
Right.
and they get in touch with you before they get in touch with me. So I'm just like, listen to what they're saying, and then I have some questions to ask.
Yeah.
But that's funny.
All right. So that was episode number 3, right?
I think yes.
Okay.
And
And
after that, we went with another YouTube superstar, Mr. Walkabout Rojo.
oh yeah, you told me. I remember you telling me, "Hey, my friend is in town. He is also a YouTuber. How about we do the podcast?" I'm like, "Who?" He's like, "Paul. He's teaching in university. He was in the hotel industry in the US, right?" Um,
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, cool, let's do it." And we still did it, right, like in the studio downstairs in the black background. And
Hmm.
oh my God, Paul is such a super nice guy.
Super interesting, lots of stories. And the best part of that show was when he actually um, tell us what to do when you want to get a better rate. You got to go watch the show if you want to learn.
And he was talking about the being stuck inside campus, right? Without He couldn't live for a while because of COVID.
That was his story. He was
Yeah.
almost 6 months stuck in the campus. There was nobody on campus. It was just him. And because of COVID, he couldn't leave. He couldn't go out. And I remember I got in touch with him on WeChat and said like, "Do you need anything? I mean, because I can drive to where he lives and bring you food. I don't know. I didn't know his situation." That's how actually we got in touch. And afterwards, when he was able to go out, I think this was the first place he went out, if I'm not mistaken.
Ah, maybe, yeah. Was that the first time you met
Mhm.
him?
The first time I met him in person, yes. The first time I met him in person.
Right. I just watched his live stream a week ago. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. He's
He he does some amazing videos and hotel reviews. Um, all right. Who was next, or what's the next thing that we want to talk about?
Well, the next thing we want to talk about is like some of the favorite moments or episodes we've done.
It's so
Um,
difficult because it would be, I don't know, it would be very difficult for me to pick a favorite one, but I have things that I
you have
do
one,
remember. I mean, things that are
okay?
memorable to me. For example, having Lily Jiang, that to me was very, that was cool. Let me show you this one. Lily, I met Lily when she was 6 years old, and she was my student from the time she was 6 until she turned 15 or 16, and then she went to the US, and then she's had her whole education and her career abroad. So this episode was meaningful for me because it's kind of like the culmination. How to say, teaching is not the most rewarding career, financially speaking, but when you talk about how proud you feel what you have accomplished in transcending, in passing your knowledge and enable somebody's future, then teaching is one of the most rewarding things you can do. So that was special for me. What's one for you? We can go ping pong this one out.
I think yeah, I think it's quite hard to pinpoint, but I mean, I think I can mention a few. I think one is definitely Jo Wang.
Oh yeah, let me show this one here. Jo Wang.
So Jo Wang, right?
Yeah.
So again, luckily for me, I mean, my company, we do events, and we brought in cooperation with Mr. Ryan from Shenzhen from Takeout Comedy. He brought here Jo Wang in 2019 first. And then when we started the podcast, I was thinking, oh, yeah, I know Jo Wang now. He's quite big. So he agreed to Wan Shi, right? His Chinese name is Wan Shi.
Yeah.
And he's quite big on the American side. He's an American citizen now, actually, but he's Chinese born, and he is now a host on CCTV, a show. And then The thing I wanted to talk about is the thing with these kind of people that are quite famous and busy and sought after, right? Um,
Hmm.
Jo Wang is super nice, and yeah, we know each other on WeChat, and he said, "Yeah, sure, I would love to do this." When we started the podcast, right? So even we mentioned him when we did the intro.
Yeah, because we knew we
Yeah.
had him lined up.
So once he came to Dongguan again in November 2020, I was like, yeah, I gotta get him on the show, right? And
Hmm.
this kind of people, you honestly, I was a little bit pushy
Yeah,
because you can't really get this kind of people to do this unless you like really trying hard. He's a nice guy, and he agreed, and we did. Why it's so special? Because he gave two shows. He gave two shows here, two stand-up comedy shows, one in English, one in Chinese. In And the podcast was done in the middle between the two shows,
he was
and
tired.
he was tired, and I was so thankful, really. And he said, oh, maybe we do 20, 25 minutes, and we did like 33 minutes. And and this is also the first one I did by myself. You weren't there. Actually, you were there. But
I was at the show, but I was working late, so I couldn't go. I couldn't do
so
it with you.
you couldn't make it on time. You couldn't make sure that you'll make it on time for the podcast, right? So we say, okay, let me just do it myself. So yeah, it's great to have someone like him on our show, and I did get to ask a few interesting questions. And also another episode, I think, is Team Page.
Oh, that was, yeah, for me. I don't remember if this was the first time that we went outside in Dongguan,
It is. It
because we
is.
went to see John in Shenzhen. It's the first time we went outside in Dongguan, and he's just such a character. The most viewed video, still, I think.
No, I think that is maybe number two now. I think we will talk about that in a minute too. The number one, but anyway,
Okay.
Team Page is such a outgoing, funny, good storyteller, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's so bubbling. You know, he's like Australian, and the video game angle. You know, the guy worked for Nintendo when Nintendo had only like 6, 7 people in their team in Australia. So,
Mm.
um, so yeah, this was a great episode, great talk. You can see us in this image, right? You can see how we are laughing, you know.
It was a lot of fun.
And yeah, this episode got a lot of views. Yeah,
Mm.
and not
I have
another
another
one.
one that I remember.
Yeah,
Let me ping pong back to me.
yeah.
The
Go
the
ahead.
one that we messed up so many times. I messed up so many times. This one.
Oh my God, that's a good story. How about you tell it?
We shot this 3 times. 3 times on 3 different days. The first day, I forgot a cable and kind of like, no, can't do it. And after setting everything up, I'm like, oh God, I don't have the cable. And he's like, huh? And I'm like, what do you want me to do? Jim was a true gentleman. If it were me, I would have sent us packing like, oh, get out of here. You just amateurs. You don't know what you're doing. And we are. We were amateurs at that point. Oh, sorry. It was just so many things went wrong. Then the second time, it was something with battery. And finally, the third time we put it together.
He
Great
he he
story.
he was
Yep.
so, yeah, I agree. He was so nice. I mean, I would not be surprised if he told us to come on, guys. What the hell, you know? I mean, I'm done. But he was so accommodating. So that was really, really sweet of him.
I remember one of the things that happened was that I decided to, because I normally use like some regular USB drive to record. That's what we had already changed to the switcher, remember?
Oh yeah, I think so.
So that
Ah, yeah,
switcher,
Bess was there. Yeah.
that's a huge technical thing. The switcher basically makes the cuts for the show, so I don't have to edit. I went from editing 10, 12 hours per episode, and now it takes about, hold on one second.
Change the battery pack. Yeah. Okay, I will take this opportunity to give a really, really important shout out to Bess. Bess is Fernando's wife, and she's been a huge help to us, because since we changed what was Fernando was talking about, since we changed, we got a switcher for the cameras, and it helped Fernando. Now we basically need like 30 minutes to cut the episode, and before it was 10 hours, and it's because of the switcher, but it's mostly because of Bess for being there.
Yeah.
And switching, and she's there every time since we changed in every episode. So this is a shout out, Bess. You're the greatest. Yeah.
Look, if somebody is supportive, although she's all over me whenever I mess something up, is her, but super supportive. I don't know if I should throw this one out right now, but I want to tell you something, guys. I haven't even told you, Ziv.
Okay.
I've already booked my tickets to go to Xinjiang. I'm going to Xinjiang in 12 days, 15 days.
Oh, wow. You're going to Xinjiang?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
the wife
wow.
is coming, and we're going to be doing some interesting shots. So we need to coordinate our calendar.
So you're going together, you and Bess?
Yes. A very supportive wife. She says that I have the worst memory for special dates. Today is supposed to be a special date in China, like the Chinese Valentine's or something. I think she said. She was yelling at me because I forgot. Yeah.
So you're going to Xinjiang. That's good. That's great. How long are you going
Yes,
to?
sir. Sorry?
How long are you going for?
4 days. We're going to be there 4 days.
All right. Nice. So
yeah.
So this brings me to one of my next favorite episodes, which is about Xinjiang. Jerry Gray.
Let me find him. Here he is.
So Jerry Gray, which is another very nice man. This is him and his wife there.
Yeah.
Also, I think you were saying there is this guy. He rode to he came from Xinjiang on a bicycle, right, to back home to here to Guangdong.
He's done it twice. The first time he biked. The first time he biked from Guangdong to Xinjiang, and the second time from Xinjiang to Guangdong.
Right, and this is our most viewed podcast.
Yeah. You're right.
And it's going up quickly. It's still we get like 100 views every day or 2 days on that one.
The more the news move around the Xinjiang stuff and the genocide, whatever, and Adrian Sense and Naspiel and all these things, well, the more this video pops up, because he has a story to tell, and he's been there. He's been on the ground.
Right. So Jerry just a nice man telling his story, and I don't think he's trying to make headlines. I mean, this whole thing took him by surprise, I think, as he was saying, and the story was interesting. Even remember they were talking about the charity that they were doing. His wife actually walked to Beijing, right?
He told that story. She walked from Zhongshan, where they live, to Beijing. It took her a month, I think.
For a few months.
Again, for all the details, you need to watch the video.
Go back and watch the video with Jerry Gray.
This one, of course, China.
So this one was a really good one. And what other one is one of your favorites, Fernando?
Well, this was, if you remember, I mentioned that this one took me back home a little bit. The one about the candy factory.
Candy factory, yeah.
You remember why?
Yeah, because of your dad.
my dad used to be a general manager of a candy factory, and it just the smell and the scent and the whole vibe of being in a candy factory is just, it really really brought me some memories. And I always believe that your nose has some sort of memory, that you remember things through
Can
your nose.
can you show that video? We have a video from the visit in the factory. Do you have it?
I couldn't upload it. It didn't
No.
upload.
Ah, okay.
No, but
So
yeah,
that
we have
that was really
B-roll.
great because we went into, he gave us a tour in the factory. We had to put all these protection stuff, all this safe, no, what do you call it, like the
Uh,
medical.
Medical gloves and the hair net and all these kind of things, because if your hair or anything falls onto the candy, that's a huge problem.
Right.
Hmm.
And I remember walking around picking gum, putting it in the mouth. Oh my god. And it was so good. And remember my pocket size that day?
That
And I
joke was
remember,
on.
I remember going back after the podcast, and in the car. Oh my God, Carl gave us so much candy, uh, and we were like, "I'm taking this, you're taking that," you know. So yeah, it was. It's great. So this is one of the fun parts about doing this, right? Going around and meeting these interesting people in interesting places, right? Uh,
Yeah.
you maybe have been in candy factories in the past, but for me, this was my first time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was for me because of that reason, because it reminded me of my father. That was one of the most memorable ones for me. Any other memorable for you or worth
Um,
mentioning?
um, I think. I mean, okay. So I think we can mention the one podcast we did with one of our best friends, right? Is both of our best friend, right?
Miguel.
Miguel,
Yep.
yes, Miguel Alves, yeah. Um, and hey, I just saw him 2 days ago. We sat together for a couple of hours, and yeah, Miguel
It's
is. How long you known Miguel?
if you watch the video, 18 years. This Here's the
18
interesting
years.
thing. If you see that episode, it doesn't look like an interview. It doesn't look like a show. It looks like we just chat because we know each other for so long, right? Um,
Right,
and he's your best friend. He's my best friend. We're really really good friends. So
right.
the video in itself doesn't look like an interview at such, but it was really really fun to have him on the show, of course,
Yeah.
and
Another
telling
one I
us
want to.
everything about his restaurant business.
Yeah, yeah. It's the restaurant business is very interesting, and he's. I was just telling him 2 days ago. I mean, there is no one like him in this town, at least. I mean, he's so professional, right? So a
Mhm.
lot of insights from him.
Nope.
So another one I want to mention, special one for me, and I think we have a couple of good photos, hopefully, from behind the scenes, is the Israeli consul general in Guangzhou,
Ah, yes.
Peleg, Peleg Levy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have those couple photos I gave you earlier that show the setup, or it didn't work out?
They're
Um,
loading. They're
the
Let
loading.
me show you the
So,
thumbnail. Tell us just a little about this. It's gonna load. There he is. This is Peleg.
right. So he is the consul general. He was an ambassador in South America somewhere, right?
Uruguay.
Um, yeah, he was the ambassador of Israel in Uruguay, and he was also very very busy person, very high profile Israeli consul general, and he was very open. We asked him. I think we tried asking him some tough questions, right? The interview was done at the Sino-Israeli Industrial
Okay,
Park.
I lost audio.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
I can. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, I hear you too. I guess, guys, can you hear us? You can write in the comments. Caliber Wings. I know you're around here.
I'm looking at the comments.
Yeah. All right. So
Miguel
there's no.
is from.
Can you guys
I
hear
can hear you.
us?
I can hear you.
Yeah, yeah.
And
People hear
yes,
us.
yeah,
Yes.
they just said that they can.
Okay. All
Thank you,
right. So I was
guys.
talking.
All right,
So I was
so let's
talking about
continue.
this episode. This episode was done in the Sino-Israeli Park, and we got to ask some interesting questions about being a diplomat in China, being a Western diplomat in China.
Mhm.
Do you remember? Uh, you remember about the diplomatic
Um,
immunity?
yeah, that's a very interesting question, and again, go watch that show because here's another thing. He also was in Colombia. You guys know that I'm from Colombia, and he was a diplomat in Colombia at a time where situation was extremely dangerous in Colombia, and we got to talk about that also. There was a point of connection for me at that stage, at that point in that particular interview. That was really really cool. um we talked about how they rent places, how they do stuff, like going to social events and things like that. Interesting. That's a very
Right.
interesting one.
Right. And yeah, I have a couple more episodes I want to mention, but what about you? Anything else you remember?
There's one that it's a bit special for me, because it's somebody that we also know a lot, and we've known her for a long time too, Sophie Yuan. This lady started from very modest upbringing and ended up being the HR manager of probably one of the largest factories, shoe factories in the city, which by in consequence meant one of the largest shoe factories in the world. Super interesting interview, a very touching interview because she also talks about her issues with health, fighting cancer, and moving on with her life and finding um, a good balance in life. Very, very interesting. And it's one of those stories where you can actually see the how to say, you can actually see how people in China, regular people, normal people, hardworking people, have become uh, well off, right?
Right.
I don't know
Right.
if she's a millionaire or anything, but she's a person that has achieved a certain financial freedom, as she calls it, and she did it through hard work. And
I
like
think that
her, there are many, many people.
I think that's special also because we haven't had many Chinese people on the podcast, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
I mean, we do want to have Chinese people. Sometimes, honestly, sometimes it's difficult because of English comprehension level.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but obviously, that wasn't an issue with Sophie at all. Um, you can see Bess in this photo a little bit, right?
Oh, don't talk
Yeah.
about that. She doesn't like being on camera.
She's hardly on camera there, but yeah. So all right, so the next one I want to talk about another episode is uh you know how one of the issue is that we like to do this show in person, and what can we do? We are in Dongguan, right? So whenever we have a chance to get other people they don't live in
Yeah,
Dongguan, um, we like to take that. And one of those was Lauren Heinold from Baoza.
yeah.
So
Oh,
this is
okay.
also
Sorry,
interesting.
I'm clicking on the wrong one.
Yeah, I know you're gonna give me that one. So Lauren, he is from Beijing. He lived in Beijing for a very long time, and he owns a few Mexican restaurants called Qmax. And a friend of ours, Carlos, which was he was my editor in the Here magazine a couple of years ago. He left since then, And he contacted me on WeChat one day. He said, "Hey, my buddy from Beijing, Lauren, is going down to Dongguan. He's going to be in Dongguan one day. You should meet up for a chat." So I met him up, and this was one of those things where I had a chat with him, just a chat, and the story was so interesting. I told him, "Hey, are you available tomorrow? We should do a podcast with you." Remember I told you about him?
Yeah.
So
It was
he
like boom.
invented this frozen snack, baoza, which is it's a perfect Western Chinese combination, right? It's really perfect subject for our show. It's a baozi a combination with pizza, right? And it's one of those. Why
So
didn't
the
I
feeling
think
is
about
what you
that?
would find in a pizza.
Right. And we did the show. The
One of the main
episode has
things about
yeah.
one of the interesting things about him is that we got to talk about one of his main investors.
Right.
Remember, Mark Cuban?
Mark Cuban, yeah.
Basically, a very popular investor and celebrity in the U.S. Mark Cuban. He owns a football team. I forgot which one, the Dallas Cowboys, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And
The
well,
Dallas
he's in Shark
Mavericks.
Tank and whatnot. The
Yeah.
Mavericks. There you go. Sorry.
Right.
So basically, he saw the potential of Bowser and he invested in this idea. So, in a way, connected to something that Mark Cuban has his hands on it. It was a cool um, selling point for that particular show.
Right.
All right.
So I can one last one. Do you have one? Do you have another one you want to mention?
Let me talk about well, the one that let me see if I go back one second. This one is one of the first ones that we did, so we're going back a little bit, guys. But to me, it was really interesting because this is Rachel Dung. She's a good friend of my wife, and is one of those people that was just like my wife. They graduated from university, they worked really hard, and she created a fantastic career in fashion. Do you remember?
Yeah, denim.
Yes, she makes denim. She makes denim for different brands, and she was telling us all about the different culture of uh, jeans in China, which is is not very popular with certain generations, and is becoming more and more popular. We also discussed the cost of denim, if you remember, when she told you that there are denims that cost 7,000 yuan. Was it? You
Yeah,
almost follow your
something
chair.
ridiculous. Yes. We were like, why? We were talking about
Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah.
denim.
So,
Yeah.
and so I like it when we can show how Chinese people have come from, well, very difficult upbringing or not very affluent to become, well, world travelers and elites, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's something that I find really interesting.
Right. Okay. And my last one that I want to mention for an episode is well, it's another one I did by myself again, not because we didn't have a choice, right? Jeremiah
Yeah.
Jenny, the history
Mm-hmm.
teacher, the
The
historian in
historian.
Beijing. Um, he actually told me after when I put it up. He said, "Oh, I don't like so much the word historian, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
history teacher, but I mean, I know the guy. He's. I felt it's okay to call him historian. He writes about history. He teaches history for long time, and he knows so much about China's history. I also know him for a very long time, and doing this interview in a hutong in my room, my Airbnb room in a hutong in Beijing. It and talking about China's history, so it felt really right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Um, you were saying that he has a perspective on pro China YouTubers.
Right. Well, he's very um if you guys should go back and watch the show. He has a very interesting perspectives, yeah, and about how how China is portraying the media and why and all of these kind of things. I think he just think is a guy that thinks that opinions should be uh, opinions should be expressed from both sides, and not like totally one-sided, kind of like you would say Fox News or CNN. It's a bit one-sided, whether it's your side or the other side, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think maybe some China YouTubers express it totally one side, like without saying anything is wrong with the other. I think that's what he was talking about. You know what I mean?
Okay. Cool.
All right. So let's
All
talk
right.
about
So
the.
why don't we move on to the next topic?
Hey, before we move to the next topic, I just want to give another.
Surprises.
I need to give another reminder for all. If you're not on Fernando's channel, FerMuBe, you should go there
Hmm.
and subscribe to him. Same for my channel, Ziv Glikman. I need the subscribing more than him, so go ahead and do that. and of course, China, right? If you're watching in other places, and we are talking today about podcast, of course, China. Make sure to go and subscribe and watch some of the content. All right. So what is the next thing we're talking about?
We wanted to talk about surprises and moments that we remember.
I think we kind of talked about it, right? In some of the moments. Do you have
Yeah.
anything? Any moments specifically?
Um, Moment specifically. No, I think that this was very much like memorable. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, which is what kind of guests we're looking for. And this is for you guys who are watching out there. If you know anybody who will be interesting, then send them our way, and we'll very gladly interview them.
So let's talk. Let's talk
What kind
first.
of guests?
Let's say what guests are coming out soon, because we do have a couple of episodes that we already shot, and we can tell you who's coming out, right? So this week we have Weber.
Hmm.
That's another very
Yep.
interesting guy. I don't know if you have a photo, but you probably don't. Or I did send you. I'm not sure. I sent you something on WeChat. We did a
I
live
think it was
behind the
one of the
scene.
ones that I couldn't open.
Okay.
Yep.
He's a Canadian guy that has a big tow truck, heavy duty tow truck, custom made factory here in China. And we shot it with a really cool background. So this is coming out next week. And then a week after, I think a lot of you viewers know this guy is Daniel Dumbrill.
Mr. Dumbrill.
Right. So we just
I
did
think that
it.
that's going to be
Yeah.
that is going to be a really, really good episode. It was one of those things along the lines of Jo Wang, where you had to work your magic to get them to sit down and do the podcast with us. He's a very busy person, and
Right.
yeah, we went down to have a few beers with him, have a meetup with Caliber Wings, Noel, with Jerry Gray, and it was actually what originated my new show, the Wumao show. Um, and at that particular evening, that's when, I don't know, you mentioned, hey, why don't you give us a couple of hours and we do a podcast? So that's coming up next, guys. Daniel Jumper talking about what he does, why he does it, how he does it, and why he doesn't do certain things that you don't see him doing. Very, very interesting, extremely knowledgeable. You know him, you know how he talks, you know what he talks about. um I was really, really there listening, taking everything
Yes.
he had to say. um
Right.
what was your take
So
on that one?
also, no, I think that one is a great one. We had a great conversation, and I think that
Hmm.
in about a week and a half, you all can see it. And yeah, I think I'm very happy we got to do that. Like you said, we had to really kind of push a little bit, be like, because we really wanted to do it, right? and
Yeah.
he was really gracious enough to sit with us and do that. So in a week and a half, you guys can see what we talked about with Daniel Dumbril. But we also, I want to talk about a couple more guests that already agreed to be in the podcast, but we just need to schedule the time to record with them. So we
Mhm.
have, for example, we have the European Chamber of Commerce in South China, the general manager. She's a French lady, Francine.
Yeah.
And she's very happy to come on. We just need to set a time. I think that will be a very interesting one from her perspective of helping European companies in South China, dealing with the government and so on, right? Also, and that's
Yep.
in Shenzhen. In Shenzhen, also another one is the rabbi. This is a really, I think this is a good one because, you know,
Mm.
there is a rabbi in Foshan. There are rabbis, Jewish rabbis, in a few cities in China, in something called Bet Chabad, which is the house where, you know, Jewish community kind of thing. And the rabbi in Foshan, he agreed to go on the podcast. And I think, I mean, a rabbi in China, isn't that interesting? I mean, what do
Well,
you do? How do you?
how many
Yeah,
people say, "Oh, you can't practice your religion, you can't." So this is one of those shows that is going to be like, "Pack, pack, shut up."
right. Yeah, and
He's in
another one
he's in
is
Foshan,
Lee.
right?
Yeah, this is in Foshan. Foshan. So another one is Lee Barrett.
Okay. Mhm.
So I've been talking to Lee and Richard, and yeah, they basically want to do that, but again, they're very busy, right? So so we just need to find the
Yep.
time to do that. And another one is the basketball player, last year's finals MVP in the Chinese league, Sonny Wims. Again, is quite well known. He's a high profile person, very busy. He agreed he wants to come on, but between agreeing to actually recording with these kind of people, sometimes it takes a long time.
Yeah. We have a goal in our show is to publish every week one show, right? Um, but this is why it's good to have some buffer, so some episodes up our sleeves. So sometimes it takes time to coordinate a new. Um, it depends on how we can coordinate with people what we want to do. So it's always good to have some buffer. Um, Okay. Why don't we move on to the next topic about
No,
what do
wait,
we want to
where,
improve?
do we want to talk about
You have somebody else.
what kind of guest we want to get? What would you say? What how would you answer that?
How would you answer that?
I think unique, unique. So like the rabbi is unique. You know, like you can see that the best episodes are the people that are unique. Like the guy Carl running a factory, a candy factory in China. How many foreigners run a candy factory in China, right? Um,
Yeah.
so we want unique, I think, um, and better even if they have a story to tell, like John Graham, you know, like Paul from Walkabout Rojo. So I think this kind of guests we want to have.
I like guests that have a very good China story. Um, whether they're Chinese or foreigners, but somebody who has been through adversity, who has overcome, who has endured, and who has come out the other end successful. Because China is difficult. China is not for everybody, and
Definitely.
I like to tell people stories. I like to tell those kind of stories to people. So that's the kind of people that I like. People who have like John, for example, the boxer that we talked about. Um, Difficult situation, and uh, total respect, total admiration for the way that he handled his situation, how he remained positive, and what he's doing right now. He's doing really really well with his new project. nothing but
Hey,
respect. That's the kind of guest that I like.
can you pull a comment here to the screen? What's his name? Hang Kasturi. You see
Kasturi.
the comment? You see the comment? Yes, during the Second World War, many Jewish people sought shelter in China. So he was talking about he knows someone with ancestors that were one of these some of these refugees. Yeah, I just to comment. I was in the museum in that synagogue in Shanghai before that. Yeah, Shanghai, China gave refugee visas to many Jews in the Second World War and saved a few thousands of Jews. And I was there. Very interesting story. And yeah, so if you know anyone related to that, like you said in a later comment, yeah, contact us. Let us know. And
Sure.
it's a good time to say that yeah, I'm going to do a video about being Jewish in China. So this is going to come sometime later.
You have a very interesting video as well. Is it a Jewish and a Palestinian having a
Yeah,
conversation in China?
yeah, the Israeli and
You
Palestinian.
guys gotta watch that one.
Yeah, this is it's an interesting one. It's not exactly what you expect, but yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to what we want to improve. Right. I
So
want to get us to the point where we can do this show live, where we can do, of course, China live outside. I can't imagine how difficult that's going to be because, well, you see how faulty internet can be, even indoors, even with routers that are connected. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine how it would be doing it outside, hooked up to some Wi-Fi little router kind of thing. But that's what I would like to do with the switcher board, with the integration. I would like to show you something really cool that can actually work really well. I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't think I can show it. Maybe I can show it here. For example, I bring in the sound from the. Let me see if it's going to focus. I'm sending the sound from the soundboard um, wirelessly. I send the sound from the soundboard wirelessly to the camera, and it's working really well. So if it works with one microphone, it might work with four microphones, three microphones. So it might be a way for us to do it wirelessly, and that's the kind of challenge that I like. What do you
right.
want to improve, Ziv?
But I mean, it's quite difficult to like you said, the connect the connection, right? It's quite
Mm-hmm.
difficult to get to the point where, because one of the nice things we have on, of course, China is we have good quality of video and audio, right? Oh, usually, not always. um but yeah, so I think it's would you let me ask you, you want to do it live? We spoke about it a little bit, right? But would you how much would you
Yeah.
compromise the quality? How much would you compromise the quality?
Well, well, I don't think we need to compromise too much quality because when you think about it, okay, now we're talking technicalities, so excuse me for a second, but the switcher is sending a 1080 signal. The switcher is doing all the calculation computations and blah blah blah. It just sends a 24 frame per second 1080, which is not that heavy when you think about it. So
Right, right. All
yeah,
right.
I don't think that I would need to compromise too much. We gotta try one day.
I mean, this is trying in a way, right? I mean, but not on location, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, can you hear
Hmm.
me? All right. So,
Actually, I feel that sometimes mobile phones have better connection.
I can just finish and say what I think we want to improve, what I want to improve, right? So, well, a couple of things.
Hmm.
I would say I always want to improve in our conversation quality, on our skills as interviewers. This is something always to get better. Some people have said we sometimes speak
Hmm.
over each other, which is true. it's very hard to master. I think we've been getting better, but there is, still improvement to be made. um, I think that I want to improve the the like the audio podcast. Someone was saying, "Ah, podcast is an audio." Yeah, podcast is audio. I mean, we're also doing videos, so it's a podcast. It's a podcast. But Fernando's image is off. I don't know if you guys can still see me and hear me, but let's just finish my point. Is I want to also improve our audio side of the podcast and do like nice openings and intros for the show. I don't know if you guys have listened. Have you seen our show, our page on Spotify and Apple? But check it out. Give us some reviews there too. Let's see if you get any interesting comment. Yeah, Nickelodeon say can hear you, Ziv. Can you guys? Oh, Fernando is back.
Hmm.
Fernando, I
Yeah.
guess you're gonna have
One
to
of the
watch
things
it
that I
again to see what I said.
yeah. One of the things that I want to improve is understanding what our audiences or how audiences actually react, because we can have very interesting topics of conversation, but they're in the middle of something that might not be as interesting. So that's something that we need to improve. Keep the tension of the conversation high, get to it faster, for example, and maintaining it higher. But that's a skill. I mean, and you develop
Yeah, I
it with
mean,
time, I guess.
it's a good point here to tell everybody. Uh, Please give us your criticism. Put a comment on this video, on any other video, you know, and tell us what you think we can improve. We are mature enough to take constructive criticism, and I think a good way to improve is listen to the audience,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep. All right,
All
Ziv.
right.
We're coming to the section where we ask questions from our audiences. So
Yeah. Let's
we open
see.
it for a couple more minutes. If anybody has any questions, anything that you guys would like to know about us, about the show, about what's coming. Okay, so Nickelodeon says, are you still willing to talk about controversial topics or play it safe? I'm willing to talk about controversial topics to the point that I know, if I have knowledge. If I don't have knowledge, or if the public version is disputed, um, I'll just give you my opinion, not necessarily a very firm point on something. But I'm up for controversial topics. Ziv, what's your take on it?
I mean, honestly, I'm not always up for controversial topics. Um, I think
Hmm.
that we have to consider some things when we maybe affecting some people or hurting some people. And also, like you said, it's also, maybe I don't know enough, and to give out maybe a popular opinion on something controversial, maybe a bit weak. So yeah, but sometimes, yeah, some things I feel strongly about, surely. But if I don't feel strongly enough about it, I'm not trying to ride a wave just to get more clicks.
Hmm. I think
Yeah.
it's important to clarify to our audiences what we're all about. So Ziv has his own channel. I have my own channel. Now, in my channel, I have the Wu Mao Show. That's a show where we really want to take off the gloves and be very controversial. Now, of course, China is its own channel and is has its own vision. So perhaps, of course, China will not be too controversial. It's more about showcasing people's experiences in China. So I don't know how controversial that necessarily is, if you understand my point. So when I said earlier that I welcome controversial topics, perhaps not for, of course, China. It's not. I guess it doesn't suit, of course, China all that much. Would you agree, Ziv?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think, even, remember when we talked with Jerry Gray, and
Mm-hmm.
and we spoke about Xinjiang and the fact that he did not see any concentration camps or re-education camps or war camps or whatever you call them, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think if you remember, it's important, and of course, China. I think for me, it's important to be very clear. I think I did ask him in that show, like, okay, the fact you did not see any doesn't mean necessarily they don't exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he said 100%. You're right. I didn't say they don't exist. I said I was there for a while and I didn't see any, right? I
Yeah.
think this is
Mm-hmm.
very fair to say, and it's very easy to just go one side, either side. I mean, either side of the controversy, um, and I don't want to become something like, again, Fox News is one sided. Some mainstream medias that are like that. You know what I mean? I think we spoke with Daniel about that too.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that, again, from the beginning we said is good about you and me. We have different opinions, and you have more of a journalistic vein in you because you have your magazine. You've been writing it for 15, 16 years. So you like to look at things from other sides as well. Maybe not as much as I do. But then again, that balances our show quite well, I guess.
Right. Right. What about other comments? Do we have anything else here that is interesting to comment on?
Let me see questions. Uh,
Any
I don't see
questions,
too many
guys?
questions.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, no, I don't see any questions. Caliber Wings is suggesting a video that I am very interested in watching by Bay Area 4115, talking about Xinjiang since I'm going there. I want to
That's
get
the
as
guy
much
that does the
information as
interviews.
possible. And
That's the guy that does the interviews on the street.
no, 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 no. I watched like the first 20 minutes because it's a very long video. It's an hour and a half almost. And at first, the first 20 minutes, and well, he's in America, right? So I want to kind of like take what they're doing, but bring people to the streets of Xinjiang and talk about these things, and be able to point at that building and point at that thing and say, hey, this is what it is. That's the challenge. That's what I want to do.
Someone is asking if you're
So
going to
yeah,
go in
that's
Xinjiang.
that's
So would you go in?
yes,
Will you
yes.
will
I'm
you will you
going
go
to
deeper?
Xinjiang in
Yeah,
15 days.
I think the answer is
But
yes
then,
to Philip. Yeah,
yes, Philip Sim, I am going. All right, guys.
yeah.
Well, I think we
All right.
can wrap this video up.
Yes.
Thank you all very, very much for celebrating this 1 year anniversary of course, China with us. Many more things to come. Hopefully, much more about China to show you. And Ziv,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
Keep supporting the, of course, China YouTube channel. Watch our episodes, give us the likes, share it with your friends. You can, if it's too long for you to watch on YouTube, you can go to the podcast platforms and listen to it. Give us a review there too on the audio
Mhm.
platforms. This is important as well for us. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to have this. I think we have great two episodes coming this coming 2 weeks, and yeah, if you know of anyone that you would like to see on our podcast, you think we have a chance to get them on the podcast, let us know. Let us know any of the improvements you think we need to make and all of that. And don't forget to go to my channel as well and follow that. help me grow, please.
Sure. Everybody go to Ziv
All right.
and subscribe. Last question that somebody put here. Where can I find information about starting a business in China? We'll go to see our video on, of course, China with Kathy Dung, was it? Everything about starting a business. All right, guys. That's
Yeah,
all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for watching. Until we see you again, take it easy and, well, bye for now.
See you next time.